Good evening, everybody, and welcome. This is Yanks here with Solar EV, our seventh working group, and joined with our core contributors, Tyler, Amy, and a newer project contributor, Nick. Welcome, everybody, tonight. And we've got a ton of agenda. We're just going to hop right in. We've already done some introductions, and one of the things that we'll be working to do, and I'm not sure what the best way to package that will be, but the agenda that we've got here for today, and let me get this a little bit bigger so everybody can view this. So the big thing is that we're still looking for some new teammates for this project, and one of the opportunities that we have is for people that love like working with video or types of live streaming technology. We would love to have somebody contribute because we have the opportunity to really elevate our live streaming game. And that's something that we'll be talking a lot more about here with Solar EV. Decentralized community solar and EV charging for gig workers. And I'm not even going to go into more details on this, the new teammates. We'll be leaning more into that as we are finalizing right now 2 submissions, and we'll actually talk about the upcoming opportunities. And this is one of the things, this red box here, this carries over on our project page. And let me just go to that real quick. So this is our main project page for our team submissions. Right now, we are finalizing 2 entries for Hero X American-made challenges. And we've got an internal deadline. We actually, based on our calendars, we're looking at doing our next working group. This is our 7th working group, so our 8th working group. We're looking to do that next Wednesday. And that's one of the things, everybody, please update your availability for the office hours. So the main difference that we're wanting to do, and let me just talk about that real quick here as a refresher for everybody. And this is one of the things that we are very open to evolving from a content and ideation standpoint, but we're really envisioning our office hours to be a lot more informal, where we're going to do maybe some deeper dive on some topics, but then like for people that want to just join the conversation and ask some questions or something like that ad hoc where we can go on some tangents, that's where it is. We really want to save the meat and potatoes as far as getting things done, especially using some of this new Web3 technology. So I changed the office hours here. We didn't get this one done here this week, and that was just due to an availability. One of the things that I want to get better at, and this is something that Tyler can probably attest to, is I like having things to be more consistent. So historically, we found that Sunday afternoon works pretty well for us. And one of the nice things about moving to a more consistent format is that that's something that you can just allocate with the calendar, and then it just becomes more of a routine dynamic. So that's one of the things that I would really like to look at doing. And let me just open the calendar. This is something that we want to move to a more of a online, and I know that the Google Calendar here is online, but taking a look here, where today's the 15th of September, we've got our internal submission for the 20th. So the office hours that I'm talking about, let me link everybody up here. I'm going to throw this on Zoom. So I changed the availability on this for last week to this coming Monday, and then do an office hours on Monday, and then we'll do an working group, our final working group, and this is where we're going to finalize all of the stuff here for our submission. And this is one of the things that we've got some templates and stuff like that. We'll get that shared with everybody so that we can get that done. And that's one of the main things that we'll probably be talking about during our office hours on Monday, and then the working group on Wednesday. So we're really setting the internal expectations for, if you really want to be considered for the team for the submission, you need to participate here, like participating tonight is good as long as you get all the details finalized for the team submission. And that's something that, like I said, will get communicated. And then the office hours, this is definitely something that we changed a little bit because we were looking at finalizing on the 19th. Now, just to let everybody know, the official submission deadline is September the 27th. But as you can see here, Tyler and I are going to be out of town on vacation, largely unplugged, and this is going to be a much needed vacation. So here's the other let us meet. And this is, I'm only going to link up the, well, this is working group. I'll put that in there. I forgot to put that in there for the office hours. So this is working group number 8. And then the office hours here again is. Okay. And this is one of the things that I didn't even add to the agenda, but I'll talk a little bit about to provide more communications at scale. One of the things that we'll continue to talk about is XMTP messaging. One of the things that I noticed here today when I signed into MetaMask is that they've introduced snaps, and that's kind of where that functionality is getting bundled in. And as a DAO, this will allow us to communicate using Web3 technology. And it's very, very early, but it's very, very composable. Like a Coinbase wallet has XMTP messaging capabilities, and now with MetaMask having snap functionality, that's something that exists there as well. So getting back to the agenda, talked about the upcoming contribution opportunities. We'll come back to these here in a minute. This is another learning opportunity that just showed up on my radar. And let me go ahead and open up this link and bring this into the window here. So let me make this a little bigger for everybody. So this is the Clean Energy States Alliance. And this is a case study that they're hosting on this webinar. I haven't gone through the registration process, but that's something that I'm going to add to my calendar. 3 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Mountain time. And that's on Tuesday. So this is an opportunity that I would definitely encourage everybody, because the more that we can learn, and the thing that's interesting about this is that this is also combining solar and storage. I don't think that this particular case study is combining EV charging, which is, I think, a unique value proposition and differentiator for our model specifically. And one of the main reasons is that that allows us to target gig workers as an underserved community, but more importantly, from a modeling standpoint, is the energy that we can charge to these gig workers. We can charge at a premium compared to normal public utility rates, because there's already a precedence through what is being charged at Tesla Supercharger and other charging situations. Tesla Supercharger is the most predominantly available in the Denver metro area here. So moving on, and this is one of the things that I'm wanting to encourage everybody, and this is something that we can create some better framework right now. I'm going to just put these on here, and this is one of the things that getting better at using Notion. But this is a stronger use case is actually having like some type of calendar where we can put these types of opportunities, and that's one of the things that we're wanting to create on our WordPress website. So one of the things that has become a very apparent need and opportunity that I think is an opportunity as far as identifying some professionals that can assist, like categorically tax attorneys. So right now I'm talking about the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 and the tax credits. And I saw an article, I think it's over 300 billion that's allocated over the next 10 years through various types of tax credits and incentives. And the exciting thing about these is that these can be stacked. And this is one of the things, I'm going to go ahead and open up this article and bring this on screen for everybody. So PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the big four consulting firms globally. And this is a summary that they provided. I'm going to link this up to everybody on the YouTube as well. Link to PwC article. So the thing that's most interesting about this that I was wanting to highlight, and this isn't a long read, I would definitely encourage you to read it. And let me make this bigger here. What the act means for infrastructure asset managers, and that's categorically what we would become. It's supercharged tax credits. And this is the thing that I was wanting to bring special attention to. The act also includes kickers, which are stackable and can increase the base and bonus rates for both. And I think this is investment tax credit, and I'm not sure what PTC stands for. But let's just talk about these bullet points here. The kickers include 10% bonus if a facility meets domestic content requirements. I'm assuming that probably means like made in America. 10% bonus if placed in service in an energy community. I think this is categorically what we will be creating, and the opportunity for us to get very creative where we can lean into, like, for example, if we're wanting to target a specific opportunity zone where it's very important that we are geographically compliant, it may make sense to do an energy community based upon that opportunity zone designated census tract. And this is something that can be an ongoing conversation. I did come across what is defined by an energy community, not going to go talk about that. 10% bonus for solar and wind facilities with a maximum net output of less than 5 megawatts. And I'm not sure what precedence the 5 megawatts has, but this isn't the only time that we'll probably see 5 megawatts. And I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure the way that we're looking to do our parking lot model, that it would probably fall under 5 megawatts. And this is something that's important for us to consider. Like, we had a conversation with Zara from the Colorado Energy Office earlier this week during an office hours for the Charge Ahead Colorado, which is a funding opportunity. And that was something that came up there as well. The other thing too is the low income community. And I'm pretty sure, like, for example, targeting opportunity zones would be what would be an agreed upon low income community. And then we've got a 20% bonus if a project is part of a qualified low income residential building project or a qualified low income economic benefit project. And this is one that I think that will be of strategic opportunity for us to focus on. And that's one of the things that I think categorically gig workers could be considered low income and underserved communities. And this is where, like, we were on a conversation with a cooperative steward in the Denver metro area as far as what we're looking to do here. And just there's a lot of community organizations, and one of the things for consideration is our JEDI, which is justice, equity, diversity, and income, or something like that, I believe. I can't remember. I need to get better at rattling those off. But I'm going to stop talking and let somebody else chime in. I see Amy. Go ahead, Amy.
Inclusion.
Thank you, Amy. So I think that we should be very intentional to check all of these boxes as we can when we're looking to focus on our site selection process. Because, like, right now, we've shortlisted some sites that probably wouldn't check some of these kickers. But what are your thoughts on these kickers related to the Inflation Reduction Act?
I think DTC is direct to consumer. And we should probably just stack these locations in some kind of like a grid format of which locations fit which one, what's in an opportunity zone, what's in a, what's government, what's private, whatever. That way we can stack them all up and then we can kind of prioritize them.
Yeah, and going back to let me just bounce back to the agenda here real quick, because the other thing I think that will allow us to really refine that is when we start having some conversations surrounding tax credits or tax attorneys that specialize in energy tax credits. And I think the PTC here is a production tax credit, as in like, because we've got two components here, like the investment related to the capital spend to deploy renewable resources or EV infrastructure or battery storage. I think all three of those are eligible for investment tax credits. But then on the flip side, like when our solar EV asset is in production, I think that we can do something with production tax credits. I might be wrong, but this is talking about tax credits in this entire article. So this is something that, and this is a page on our, I just actually added Hunton Andrews Kurth. This isn't the only one that showed up on my radar, but this is our tools and services and vendors. And vendor would be categorically what a tax attorney. Go ahead, Amy. I see you've got your mic open.
You're looking for a tax attorney? Is that what you're saying?
Specifically, one that specializes in energy tax credits.
Okay. I'm going to DM a friend of mine who might know somebody.
So, and this would probably be a good opportunity to talk about, because we had a conversation with a cooperative attorney that also, and that was Jeff Pote with Pote Law Firm, POTE. And I really enjoyed that conversation with him and sent an email talking about moving forward, because one of the opportunities that we're really looking to do is, and let me actually just showcase here real quick as far as our submission checklist. So this is one of the opportunities that we have to include within our final submission package are letters of commitment or support. And that was functionally what I was seeking from Jeff at Pote Law Firm, was a letter of commitment that would basically where we could agree to engage him, that he could provide legal guidance on what we're looking to do. And what we're looking to do from a legal standpoint is we're wanting to create a public benefit corporation in Colorado. And the reason for that is that wanting to go through and become a certified B Corp. And a certified B Corp, I don't know if you've seen this type of image on certified B Corp. So this is something that's available when you go through, and this is more of a branding strategy, but more importantly, a public benefit corporation instills into the articles of organization requirements to have more than just the bottom line. It's more about having a triple bottom line. You can learn more about like a certified B Corp there, but that's the thoughts right now, is to form our Colorado company, the public benefit corporation, Solar EV of Colorado, PBC, as a public benefit corporation. That's also the thoughts are, is that's what we would do. Are right now, unless something substantial changes, we're really wanting to minimally do regulation crowdfunding, where we raise a bucket of money. And with that bucket of money and with this public benefit corporation, this will basically be the engine for doing tokenized solar EV assets in Colorado. So the thoughts are, we need to form a board of stewards. And this is one of the things that we've already incorporated into our tri-token governance model with Web3 Freedom Club. We haven't officially launched Solar EV as a Wyoming DAO or as a legal entity in Colorado yet. And one of the things that I really feel that we're at a point where we can pull that trigger, and then I think that we can potentially minimize the engagement from a cost standpoint with Jeff Pote. And then one of the things that we're wanting to do with our governance model is to have a board of stewards. And I like board of stewards better than board of directors, because I think that there's a different connotation. And one of that connotation is that I believe that stewards has more like spiritual aspects, and then also more responsibility as far as from just directing. But anyway, that's more of a philosophical conversation. But that's one of the things that we've identified and have done for Web3 Freedom Club and are wanting to do that. I think we have a need to do that for Solar EV of Colorado. And right now, I think that by focusing on the governance model for Colorado, and the thoughts again are to create a model that we can replicate on a state-by-state basis. So I like to look at what we're doing here is creating a blueprint that we can deploy in other states so that we can ramp up as quickly as possible to bring decentralized community solar resources to local communities. So I think that we should, and the thoughts are to see if Jeff would engage in like where we would ask him to sit on a board of stewards where the 1 hour, I think he said he bills out $300 an hour. So basically one time a quarter. So that would basically create a engagement where we would commit to him to 4 hours once a quarter, where he would be a board of stewards. And then anything that would be agreed upon outside of that, that's something that would be decided on by the board of stewards. But I think, and when you think about the cost, that would be basically a $1,200 besides whatever the initial engagement would be. So the initial engagement plus the looking forward for 2024. Because when we're thinking about what we're doing here with this board of stewards strategy is that we're wanting to bring people to our decentralized team where we can commit to something, or we can put something forward like 1 hour a quarter, or and I don't know if we need to have a higher frequency of meetings with our board of stewards than that. If that's something that we decide that we do, we can bake that in, but like having one conversation a quarter with a cooperative attorney, I think would be worthwhile. So I'm going to stop talking. What are your thoughts on that? And I already had this conversation sideline with Tyler, so I'm going to kick that over for Amy and Nick. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I'd be thinking about is, do we need, like, how sure are we we're going to need the 4 hours? If we don't on that, then, I don't know what we'd be paying for, but maybe it is just having him on the board of stewards is a nice thing. You've got somebody there who's got some legal background making decisions. So.
And the thought is here, Nick, is that we're building our virtual team, because like that's functionally, because the more that we can minimize like full-time staff or whatever, and this is something that I don't know if we have some like, and because besides doing that, one of the other opportunities is to incorporate tokenomics into what we're doing, because we have an unlimited amount of flexibility too. So because this is something that we want to create like for ourselves, because we have some pretty small like basic tokenomics at play here, and this is like minimum like and I like to look at this as like the big value here is what you learn by participating in our working groups, besides because we're incentivizing participation through, and we like to call it like a sweat equity or proof of contribution model. But that's one of the things that I would like us to think about. And it's not something that we need to have really much thoughts about here for the submission of the Hero X, because I think adding any conversation about tokenomics would just cause confusion that wouldn't add any value to our project submission.
Yeah, that's a good point. One thing I want to go back to also, you were talking about doing, was it possible crowdfunding? I think I heard in there. Is there, if we do go down a avenue like that, is what you're proposing that we're going to give everybody who is investing to get it seeded, are those people all getting equity, or is this like, do they get some other benefit from the Kickstarter? What are you guys thinking there?
Yeah, so Kickstarter is not equity, that's a reward.
Right.
So like one of the things that may be a viable situation, because like our NFT for becoming a member of Solar EV DAO, like a minimum viable product, and we're wanting that to be like a $20 product. I don't know if it makes sense to do a Kickstarter for that or not. It's something that I've thought about, absolutely. And true story, I've actually done a Kickstarter campaign. It wasn't one that was effectively marketed, and this goes all the way back to 2016. So this is something that's I've personally has been on my radar, from not only been on my radar from a thought standpoint, but like I said, I actually did a Kickstarter that I would actually show to somebody else surrounding craft beer. But that's a longer conversation. So we are absolutely planning. And just to be very clear, we have said and will continue to say the social tokens that we're creating for these projects here, we're planning to convert that to the security tokens, unless an attorney or somebody else tells us that we can't. But we have very well documented sessions from a secretarial standpoint. And this is one of the things that we're wanting to get better at and more timely at, from airdropping like POAPs and tokens for participating like in our working group right now. So this is functionally like participating in our working group here tonight, Nick. We're going to be providing social tokens across several different buckets, like one of which would be Web3 Freedom Club DAO, the mothership, and then Solar EV DAO, the mothership, and then Solar EV of Colorado, and then like the tokenized project that we're going to be creating here. So we're looking to reward. Go ahead, Tyler.
Hey, hold on one sec. So, Nick, just to be totally clear, we're not. Oh yeah, Brooke here. Yeah, Brooke is saying hello.
Hi, Brooke.
We want to be really clear that we're not letting anybody pre-buy any of the tokens or converting anything for money, because that's where we get into some problems with pre-selling securities. So
they're just giving out.
Yeah, it's basically it's
sweat equity.
It's earned. It's sweat equity is earned, and to tell people that the security token may never happen, social tokens are always going to be worth nothing, blah blah blah. The only thing that we can't do, I think, from our insurance attorney, right, is doing things that are pre-selling.
So and what Tyler was talking about, like pre-selling, is like I had this idea of saying, hey, you buy our $20 NFT for Solar EV, the minimum viable, to participate in our DAO, Solar EV DAO. And I was saying like, hey, let's see if we could provide a security token for that. And that was something that one of the conversations said no. And I thought that through, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And that's one of the things that we're being very diligent as far as like how that we're communicating stuff. And we're going to have a lot more conversations with, because the way that I'm viewing this board of stewards is that we're going to have multiple attorneys, like, because the people that are experts at tax energy credits are not necessarily experts within cooperative law. And they might not have anything to do with Web3 or blockchain. And, this is where like bringing a team together and creating a manner that we can bring people and they can feel like their time is well spent there, from that it's worth, hey, what's in it for me? Because everybody's asking that, right? And that's one of the things that we're also very thoughtful about. And we want to amplify and expand some of these tokens, because there's some really cool stuff that just like is outside of my realm of comprehension from a tokenomics standpoint. And that's one of the things that we're wanting to extend these conversations there, especially with like some really cool stuff, because I know that there's people that are doing cool things with like energy tax credits on chain, because one of the things surrounding these tax credits is that they can't be bought and sold. So like this is a very strong use case for representing these credits on chain. And the more that we can have those conversations with people that are already doing that, but then we're just the engine where they get to do their cool tax credit play, because there's some margin in these dynamics where the platform that's selling those can take, a couple percentage points for facilitating, because like when there's $1 tax credit, and from what I understand, it normally trades like from 91 to 94 cents or something like that. And that's where blockchain can bring some more efficiency, because if we could get 98 cents instead of 91 or 94 cents, that's efficiency, right?
Yeah, I'd also be watching here on for these new things I've been seeing where they're trying to put carbon credits on the blockchain, right? Because now you've got these, what they're going to effectively do is all these people who are generally producing some of the carbon emissions are going to be looking for sources where they have to be able to sell those, or they have to, it's like a matching game where they always have to get clean energy to counteract that, or they've got to pay, right? And so that kind of incentive system that's starting to come online is owning solar, even for the polluters, is going to become a very valuable proposition, right? And so that's
absolutely,
we got to watch.
And the thing where our secret sauce is going to be, Nick, is the more that we can stack all of these kickers or these tax credits or whatever label that you want to put on it. I love that PwC called it kickers. I don't know if that's an official term, but I'm going to roll with it. So it may become an official term within our community. But this is something that, like, we're not going to find a tax credit attorney like here in the near term, between now and next week. I really think with the engagement opportunity and how responsive that Jeff has been, I would feel okay engaging him in that conversation. And we can take that offline if anybody has any objections or final. This is something that we can continue to think about. But reach out to me if you have some objections on that. But I would really like to move that conversation forward as far as what that looks like. Before we move on, is there anything else that anybody wants to chime in on? And this is something that we're going to continue to talk about, because the being able to figure out how to navigate these tax credits. But anybody else want to chime in on the tax credits before we move to this next item? I'll take the no mic opening as a move on opportunity. So Xcel Energy, for those that are not aware, is the main public utility company in Colorado that serves 1.6 million customers, I believe. And understanding that they have a framework that allows us to operate through this solar rewards community program. I haven't delved into the specifics, but there's 2 pages that they have here. And I'm going to go ahead and open this one, bring it on screen here for everybody. So we'll select Colorado because that's where we're targeting our model here. So one of the things that community solar is also referred to is a solar garden. And from what I understand here is that there's a pretty strong opportunity for, so eligibility, this is my favorite thing, must be an Xcel Energy residential or business electricity customer. So that basically means that any customer, resident, because I don't think that Excel categorizes their customers outside of residences or businesses. So it's pretty much any customer of Excel is eligible to participate in this program. So this is one of the things everybody that's on the call here tonight got I actually downloaded this, uploaded it, and that's what I shared so that everybody can view that, so that we have that in case that this goes away. I'm going to go ahead and open that. Let me do that here real quick. So let's see, I uploaded that on Google Drive. So here's what that spreadsheet looks like. Public information. This isn't anything, but this is something that I wanted to do. So this just shows what the opportunity looks like. So looking at this, there's only a handful of players that are identified as community solar gardens. And remember, 1.6 million customers are the opportunity. So this is where we can get really creative as far as how that we're structuring situations. And right now we're leaning into the parking lot narrative. And this is where one of the biggest opportunities I think that we have, and this was based upon the resurgence, and I'm going to circle back just to kind of go off on a side tangent here real quick. I'm going to have, there's already some history that Tyler and I have, and this is something that I mentioned. Amy and I actually met on Clubhouse in the Opportunity Zone room, and Amy and I circled back here Thursday and had another, I actually was talking, and Mark, the host of that, is very interested. And true story, like we actually launched OZ Fund DAO. That was our first DAO that we launched. It's not one that we leaned into, because as an entrepreneur, when I started exploring, and this is one of the things we launched, Retoken, the real estate DAO. And now we're circling back in a very unique value proposition, which I'm most excited about, doing tokenized assets, real world assets. Solar EV, decentralized community solar and EV charging, which has three main components: solar canopy, battery storage, EV charging. And when we had the conversation with Zara from the Colorado Energy Office, she couldn't even tell us of one example of that model existing in Colorado. So this is the unique value proposition that we're creating. One of the things, and this is, I'm gonna, does anybody want to chime in some thoughts on this spreadsheet? This is, I was just more showing this as a reference for everybody and how big the opportunity is. All right, closing that, moving on. So that was getting started, finding a solar garden operator. And now one of the things that will be interesting to navigate, and this is where I will regularly encourage all of us to become community solar experts. And one of the things that I love about becoming an expert in a niche that most people have never heard about, it's really easy to become an expert in that niche. And this is one of the things that is a very polarizing situation. People hate monopolies, but the state of Colorado is continuing to allow Xcel Energy to be a monopoly. I'm not going to go off onto what that looks like, but like one of the timing things that we have is Xcel has a rate hike that's going into effect here in December. So this is where receiving your bill credits basically gets pretty exciting. And this is where we get to basically, from how I'm envisioning this, we get to ride Xcel's infrastructure that is built and basically create a situation where they onboard, because when the value proposition that they're doing is that any green energy that comes on, whether it's green energy that is energy that they're responsible for capitalizing from an infrastructure standpoint, or whether it's somebody that's participating in, is that these are all numbers, green energy numbers that Excel gets to amplify to the community at large. So it's kind of a win for Excel. And this is one of the things that there's a lot of parameters in place. Remember that 5 megawatts that we talked about? So this is something that I would encourage each of us to dive into and have some better understanding. So this is the other thing that I wanted to talk about, because what we are is we are becoming a community solar developer. So this is where Excel has some resources as far as navigating becoming a community solar guardian developer resources. So, and this is something that I'm not sure what this process looks like, and I'm not sure if we'll be at a point, because like how many kilowatts does your generate there, your solar installation, Nick? Do you know offhand?
Yeah, it's a little bit over 14. I wanted 17, but the most I could get on there was 14.
Okay, cool. So that means that your solar would qualify for this, right? Because it's above 10.1 kilowatts and under 5 megawatts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and you said you wanted 17, but you couldn't. Was that because they said you weren't using enough electricity?
No, it just wouldn't fit. I went through Tesla Solar, and that's where we got they would put on as much as I wanted. They didn't have any problem with me doing that. I did hear from somebody though that was a thing. Now I'm up in up north a ways, so I'm actually where we use United Power also. So I'm not directly using Excel.
Yeah, no, and that is absolutely understood. I was just wanting to have some numbers here to see if I was correct in that this would be a home residential that could participate in this solar garden situation.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like I'd fit there.
And I don't know, and this was like right now we've agreed and we'll continue to agree that we're focusing on a parking lot model. This is just me, because like, and I'm not sure where it would be, but it's a pretty wide range. So this is pretty much a range where that Excel's just not wanting like big threats from like somebody that's generating, gigawatts of power, right? So that's basically what this dynamic is. So this is a pretty large range, and this is just knowing what this looks like. And this is I'm not going to talk anymore about Excel. That's the biggest opportunity in Colorado that serves 1.6 million customers, and that's the biggest service base for the Denver metro area. Does anybody want to chime in on the Excel pages that we've talked about, the community solar garden or the other page?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Amy.
Does that mean that we have to hook up on their grid?
We want to hook up on their grid because like I don't know if we're going to be able to use like the big thing here is like what is the demand like from EV charging is going to be, but there's absolute synergy that happens. We want to be on the public utility grid, and this just amplifies the opportunity that when we go through the channels that exist, is that we can operate as a community solar garden operator and transmit energy from because this basically tells me, Amy, that we can create customers in our community solar program that live in an apartment building. So like
the way I understand this, because we have TVA here in Memphis and they have a similar program. The way I understood TVA functions is they buy back your green energy to sell to other people that want green energy, but I don't know how it is set up in Colorado. And I
No,
don't know if that has
this
changed
is
already, because it's been
this is
like
actually
10.
a different. This is a different program. This
Okay.
basically allows us to create our own customers. So where we could go to like a low income community and say, okay, well, instead of being on Excel's energy, we guarantee you that we'll give you the electricity at 80% or maybe 50% or whatever that number is. That's like, hey, I want to pay 80% instead of 100%. So we would onboard them as a customer in our energy community. And I'm trying to talk in like verbiage that we talked about. Like I talked about energy community that was identified through the Inflation Reduction Act. So basically what we want to do is we want to create an energy community, and then we want to bring on these distributed energy resources. So like right now we're focusing here on phase 1 of solar EV parking lot model. So phase 2, we might expand that to include single family homes. So like here in the situation of targeting like these designated opportunity zone census tracts where we can find a parking lot that has the proximity due to the Department of Transportation alternative fuel corridors. So now our list of parking lots goes from hundreds and hundreds to a much smaller list, but then we also get to stack all of these additional tax credits, these kickers, as PwC like to say, because basically what these kickers do is that it allows whoever's investing in this to have a better return. Because the more that we can reduce the capital spend to build our decentralized community solar resources, the better that provides a return to the investors, plus a lower rate that we can offer our community solar garden customers.
Okay. I lost my thought. I was going to ask you a question. Let me see if I can remember it.
No worries. If you think of it, just reopen your mic. Everybody's been doing an awesome job with opening and closing their mic, so I do appreciate that. So does anybody want to chime into anything more about Excel before we move on to this next bullet point here? All right, cool. So one of the things, like, I'm a huge, like, the reason
I remember.
Go.
Are you saying that the way we will structure this on single family homes, not on the property, we're gonna let them sign a PPA, and then we are the
I'm glad that you brought up a PPA, because that's one of the things that we can absolutely do, like, because there's several opportunities here for creating some PPAs.
Let me tell you how it works, okay? Because
yeah, go for it.
We are doing the Mississippi Delta. We have an initiative called Solarize the Delta project. Now, the PPA that we have a bank that will sponsor whoever goes through the credit thing on the PPA. And then the customer pays us like we're the electric provider for 20 to 25 years. And I don't know if that's what Nick did when he had his solar project, but what was did you call that electric initiative for the customer? They're the ones that receive that.
So
the tax credit, the tax credit.
The tax credits is an entirely different conversation. So I'm
but
glad that
it
you
all goes together, because the customer, like if the solar is 20,000, let's just say that the tax credit is applied to that. And so it decreased the amount of the solar. But that is if they pay it out of their pocket, I guess, but not with the
Yeah.
PPA.
And well, so let's talk. I'm glad that you talked about because this is I created a section here, industry terminology, and power purchase agreement, because this is one of the things that wasn't in my wheelhouse up until more recently, and this was a PPA that I came up that is more specific to what we're talking about, because we're talking about like our parking lot model, because the tax credits surrounding like putting solar on a single family house, like let's put that to phase 2 conversations. Let's just focus on our parking lot model here for phase 1.
I also remember, Jason, when
Go
we
ahead.
had that meeting with Mark, that he said, not unless you do a renovation at what percent was it? 50, more than 50%? I can't remember.
So I think that that's not looking through a more creative lens here, Amy, because like, and let's not like factor in, because like one of the things that the goal here with the solar EV parking lot model is to get a long-term zero cost lease.
Yeah, we're talking about the opportunity zone areas. When you made that comment to him, he reminded you that whatever renovations you have to do should have been extensive to qualify, is what I'm saying.
No, I understood, but like he's looking through the lens of buying a piece of real estate, and we're looking through the lens of that we're not going to buy real estate. So the parking lot model, we have zero interest of buying any real estate within the solar EV model. We're looking to find a zero cost lease where there's no cost for us to build our model on an existing parking lot. The benefit that the parking lot will get is that they get a covered parking lot that benefits the community. So our expectation is that we're creating enough of a value proposition by providing a covered parking lot, because we're talking about I'm expecting our first proof of concept to probably be in the $4 to $10 million range. So we're talking about adding an improvement to a parking lot that like they have like little to no risk, because like, you know, it would cost us a lot of money to take those assets out of there, right? And this is where we create a beneficial situation. So whether that's realistic or not, time will tell, but I'm pretty sure that we can deliver, because there's literally hundreds of parking lots across the Front Range. And that going back to like the conversation that we had, like one of the strategies that we're going to talk about is RTD parking lots, where people are just coming to only park to hop on bus transportation. But I wanted to go back to this power purchase agreement, because this is very relevant to one of the opportunities. Now, I don't know if we necessarily need to create a power purchase agreement for gig workers, because that's one of the things that's more unique about this niche with this community solar in a parking lot model, is that we don't necessarily have to have any customers on board. I think that we can use some averages as far as, you know, like EV charging. And the big opportunity for what we're doing here is stacking so many tax credits on this that are available, that I think that the capital spend we can reduce substantially. That's my expectation. And then the value proposition. But one of the power purchase agreements, like for example, if we target a site like a strip mall, for example, and there's all of these anchor businesses that exist in a strip mall, these businesses that are operating in a strip mall, they don't own the strip mall. That's owned by the strip mall real estate owner or whatever, you know, and I don't know enough as far as who owns strip malls. And this is where us getting a more defined geographic location area that we can strategically target, because like right now I've kind of been just doing an ad hoc, like, hey, where would I personally like to charge, and based upon some geographic locations, like Butterfly Pavilion or Boondocks here in Northglenn. Now, neither one of those locations are in designated opportunity zones. So taking advantage of the low income situation, these kickers there. But like going back to the power purchase agreement, one of the easy businesses that we could target is one of these businesses in a strip mall. If we do deploy this parking lot solar EV model in a strip mall, where we could say, okay, business owner, we'll save you, we'll deliver energy, any extra energy that we have, and the power purchase agreement would prioritize the EV charger or the people that are getting the EV energy over the businesses. And then that's where we could create that type of situation. And then when we're out of energy, then we can't provide any more energy, right? So and that's where these tax credits and having this framework come into play. So I've got this as a link. This is a conversation that I think that we should have. I don't know if it really makes sense to have a conversation with sustainable capital finance, but seeing what information that we could provide, like having this solar plus EV charging power purchase agreement, the more that we don't have to reinvent the wheel with what we're creating. And I don't know if you have any power purchase agreements, Amy, that you would share from different projects that you've worked on, but that's one of the things that we're wanting to see is like some community solar power purchase agreements. So rewinding a little bit. So on that note, this is a pretty good transition into community solar platform solutions. Now, I think over time, it will probably make sense for, especially with our blockchain focus, to potentially create our own if there's not composable stuff that we can look at. But one of the things that we can do in the interim, so that we're not talking about reinventing the wheel ourselves, is look at existing solutions and see what these types of platforms cost for us, because we're basically talking about becoming a community solar developer and a community solar operator. So community solar platform, roofless solar, and I think I have this on an agenda item later, so I'll circle back on this. Another one that showed up on my radar is powermarket.io, and they actually have a community solar solutions subpage set up. I'm going to kick off some conversations with both of these to see, and this is one of the things, as you've already seen, love looping in on side conversations, and I'll do as best as possible to make that as inclusive as possible for the people that are regularly contributing here for what we're building. Does anybody want to chime in on these platform opportunities before we go on? I'll make sure that these get added to our tools, services, and vendors stack here within Notion. And I'm going to make that as a next action. Ensure that the community solar platform get added to tools DB here in Notion. All right. So one of the things that showed up on my radar is Amicus. And I'm pretty sure that it showed up on my radar through Namaste Solar. Namaste Solar is a installer here in Colorado that we will likely have conversations with sometime probably in October. And this is another thing that showed up on their, they basically got two companies that they operate under. So they have a solar cooperative, and this is one of the ways that we may be able to extend buying resources, because we haven't had any conversations as far as specifics, and that's one of the things that I'm really anticipating will amplify here. And this is one of the things that I would encourage us to get better at, because HeroX has a great framework. I mean, they've created these This is government funds at work here. So we need to figure out how to navigate, and I'm not talking about Amicus, I'm talking about HeroX, but Amicus seems like a really solid situation as far as really well aligned with being cooperatives. And this is one of the things that I would encourage us to have some conversations. I'll circle back on this and see what it looks like as far as becoming a member, and if there's a cost. But one of the things that's interesting, if we didn't make it clear, Colorado is a hot spot for a lot of different reasons, and this is just yet another reason why. So Amicus is actually based here in Boulder, Colorado as well. And talking about B Corp, this is one of the things by us leaning into a public benefit corporation. This is something that we will be able to put on our marketing materials as well. Anyway, the other thing that I thought was pretty interesting besides their solar cooperative is that they had an operations and maintenance, O&M. And operations and maintenance is one of the things that we absolutely need to consider from a well thought out business strategy so that we can ensure that our solar is delivering the kind of return from an energy standpoint. Do you have anything that you could chime in on this, Amy? Operations and maintenance specifically?
The way we set it up for 20, 25 years, however it is we have engineers that take care of that. And I can't remember, we do charge on businesses anyway. We do charge for the maintenance. I don't know about the homes. Maybe Nick can chime in on that one because he has a solar in his home.
Go ahead, Nick. I see you got your mic open.
Yeah, and it's not exactly clear what our maintenance looks like, but as far as just having it for 3 years now, we really haven't had to do much. It's only when we're if the roof has to be replaced and it costs a little bit extra. We have battery systems, so we have 2 of the solar battery packs, and those there is an expected lifetime on those. I think for those it's 10 years, but the things that we would be looking at are commercial battery packs, and I think those have a much longer life than 10 years, but they are pretty expensive. They were almost $10,000 for each battery, I think, and I think they're 3 kilowatt hour packs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we definitely need to factor in, and that'll basically become a line item. But like getting where this really comes into play is just garnering, I think, through a membership dynamic, and this one, the O&M cooperative, looks a lot more selective than the other one. But this is one of the things I mentioned, Namaste Solar, and that's one of the things that we'll be having some conversations with. And I don't know what all of these different companies are that are on here, but that's one of the things that the more that we can open up conversations and just become subject matter experts on community solar or just solar in general, and just share those types of resources. So that's kind of why I was wanting to talk about these, is that these look like ethos aligned types of opportunities through a cooperative situation. So I talked a little bit, we talked about community solar platform, and this is one of the things that I wanted to circle back on, is that this is a brand that they operate under that's powered by community solar. And I don't know what kind of traction is, but I mean, they've got a lot of well-known articles that have been referenced here. So this is one of the things that we can, show, because one of the biggest value propositions that we're going to be doing is how that these assets through the tokenization model will be truly community owned. And that's one of the things that why I brought up the O&M aspect, is that they could also be community operated. So anyway, that's another resource that wanted to show. I haven't gone through and looked because we're wanting to also. So do you have panels, or is it the solar roof there, Nick?
It's panels here.
Okay, cool. So we're hoping to get a Tesla solar roof installed where we're at here. We've not been successful in getting follow-up from the only authorized Tesla roof installer in this neighborhood, but we'll share with the noteworthy conversations as they unfold. So we already talked about the power purchase agreement here on some industry terminology. One of the things that I wanted to also bring some amplification to is CCE, Community Choice Electric. And this is a very fabulous article that not only has an article, but it also has a very detailed report from the Colorado Public Utility Commission. And it's a 149-page report. So I'm not going to go in. I haven't read any of that. This is one of the things that I just wanted to kind of talk about, because the way that I'm really understanding community solar is that it's almost a community choice opportunity without the regulation and the complexity, if I'm really understanding what I'm understanding. So that being said, it's very clear that there's not any traction to move forward at this time. The Public Utility Commission is taking a very reserved approach. It looks like 10 states, and that's currently allowed in 10 states that I'm talking about. And this is a very pretty recent article just from January. So it's not, it's here in 2023. And when was this report? December of 2022. So this report's not even a year old. So this is one that I would encourage people to become versed with and just understand the regulatory landscape here. The big value proposition, though, is the community solar. And I'm actually going to digress here momentarily and bring open another Notion page, because this is one of the things that I love using. Let me make sure that this opened up. So what I'm wanting to show, this is our tools and services page, but I was actually wanting to show some articles and resources. So this is one of the things that I would encourage, and if people want to have some side conversations, but the better that we get at collaborating on some available resources and articles and stuff like that, because one of the things that I started doing is tagging, and I'll use this as a segue to transition into the white paper here. But these are some relevant articles, and I've been adding to this at a fairly consistent pace. And this is the one I added this here. This one right here. So this is what that looks like in this database. And the nice thing about this is that this allows us to create some very interesting relational aspects. So like I created a new topic here talking about CCE, Community Choice Electric. And this was the first article that I ever tagged that. And then like Colorado Sun. So this is a organization that I created, and this is actually a hidden database within Notion. This isn't public. Not going to go into details what that looks like, but I've added a couple other articles here. So this one is more Colorado community solar gardens moving forward after PUC rejects Excel effort to postpone. So let me actually open up this article, because all indications are that Excel's not overly excited about the idea of community solar gardens. I think that this is something that was mandated, and I don't know what those conversations have looked like, but here's some really strong evidence that Excel isn't excited about the idea of community solar gardens. So don't expect that this is going to be an easy process for us to navigate. And the more that we can do, bringing in community stakeholders, and this is one of the things that will be a lot more intentional coming up here in Q4 in October, to really articulate some strategies surrounding. But that was kind of a little bit of a tangent there as far as showing the articles and resources database. Getting back to the, does anybody want to talk about any industry terminology, something that maybe showed up on your radar, or something that we should add that we haven't talked about?
Nothing here.
Cool. So I'm going to keep on talking anything that shows up on my radar, and I'm wanting everybody to reciprocate that. This is a really nice compilation from the Solar Energy Industries Association. And this is their page on community solar. And this is actually something that I'm gonna reach out to Kay Hopkins here about their community solar committee and foster that conversation. So I'll circulate back with the rest of the team what that conversation looks like going forward, because this is one of the things, the more that we can, at least somebody, if not more of us, are exposed to people that are leading the way. Because like I said, we're community solar pioneers here, and all indications, and I'm going to go back to this Notion article. This was something that I just brought up here too, is that all indications are that what we're doing here in the United States surrounding community solar is culturally unique, and not only culturally, but from a policy and framework unique. And this is an article that talks about that. I'm going to open that and bring it up here. I'm going to even throw this on, because this is a Clean Technica. This is actually a podcast. And this is the reason that this is so relevant is that this article was literally just published like a week ago. And the better that we get, and this is one of the things that I want to get, create some notifications surrounding community solar. And the better that, because like one of the opportunities that we can do through our website, or just how that we're communicating, is sharing or curating noteworthy resources. We'll be talking more about that in a content strategy as we are working more on creating a content strategy. But here's this Clean Tech Talk. That's a podcast, super fresh podcast. I haven't listened to it, but just like a week ago. But all from just browsing through this article, and it's the nice thing about this article is it's a great summary article for what is community solar as well, where it's at, the equity conversation, talks about, I mean, if like, it's got all of the key takeaways as far as like this. And that's actually a different article. So they've got that set up there. Anyway, I'd encourage everybody to listen to that podcast. It's something that I'm going to listen to here. If not before our next working group, maybe on our road trip. We're getting ready to do a road trip to Missouri. So going back to this SIA page, the Solar Energy Industries Association, this is a great page that talks about different resources. I'm going to go through here. Here's another joint opportunity for their community solar. Here's another coalition. And this is where, you know, figuring out where some active resources on community solar are and who some of the more vocal places are. And this is one of the things that you know, developing some relationships with some of these stakeholders, because we're playing the long game here. We've got a 10-year runway from the Inflation Reduction Act that's barely just going into effect. From the sounds of it, some of this stuff like even won't be eligible for stuff that's placed into production until like 2025, and just having a better understanding. So we're playing a long game here, like this community solar hub. This is a resource that I haven't even looked at myself. And that's kind of not a very great landing page, but anyway, so getting back to the agenda, let's see the agenda page. So that was all the agenda that I had itemized, and this is where I was wanting to go back to the white paper and talk about this. I know that Tyler's been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Like I said, Nick, I'll get you the opportunity to contribute. So let's see, solar EV project priorities. So marketing, we've got that under the marketing, and I'm going to open this in a, oh, yeah, I'm not going to navigate this in Notion. I'm going to just open this in another window. White paper, solar EV, decentralized community solar and EV charging for gig workers. Are you able to speak to this right now, Tyler? You've been doing most of the heavy lifting on this.
Not really. Brooke is being pretty active right now.
So the big thing is that we're positioning gig workers as one of the fastest growing underserved communities. And this is one of the things that's uniquely positioned about this type of a model, especially surrounding community solar, is that we have the opportunity, because most energy consumers aren't mobile. That's one of the unique value propositions of gig workers, is we have the ability to charge a higher premium based upon DC fast charging economics. And then we have the opportunity of deploying these within underserved communities, but then we also have the opportunity of bringing categorically one of the fastest growing underserved communities, gig workers. And this is one of the ones that I'm planning on being a poster child for. We'll talk more about like some of the marketing strategy that we've been envisioning here for a while. But this is one of the things, I'm not going to go into details. What we're really wanting to do is to largely take the concepts from this and transpose that. And this is one of the things that Tyler and I will work on a little bit between now, is the documents that we need to submit, because some of this stuff may not transpose over, but it may copy over, because like this, we're working in a Google. That was one of the things that we kind of learned from, we were creating in GitHub before, and it's a lot easier to copy and paste from a Google Doc into another Google Doc. And we are going to just use the contest, the HeroX prize template that they provided, and just fill in our narrative on that. So that'll be like the big homework. But I heard somebody knocking at the door. I'm going to step away just for a second. Hold on one second.
No, that was me, Jason.
Did you need me to open the door? Why are you knocking?
No, that was Brooke knocked my phone. That wasn't knocking.
Fair enough. Okay. So, all right. Going back to our agenda, like this is most of what I had, because the big effort right now, and this is what I'll bring to the close, is just leave this on the screen as far as our project submission checklist. And this is basically what I just copied from the big thing that I've got a deliverable on, is to do a new 90-second video. And this is something that I think that I can do fairly easily. I don't know, Nick, you're fairly familiar with the north side of here. I was thinking of doing this in an RTD parking lot. Do you have any better thoughts? I might even go over to Boondocks if the weather's permitting sometime this weekend, but with it being on a weekend, I figured that their parking lot might be a little bit more full.
Yeah, those are probably really good ones. Yeah, they're pretty accessible too. I remember when we were coming back up from Denver that one day, we saw that one parking lot. I think it was just south of your exit there. That would be a really good candidate. It might have been down towards, yeah. No, I think that the RTD ones are good. There was something else I was trying to think. When me and you were talking the other day, there was something that came up that was even another spot that we proposed, but it's not coming to me right now. I'll tell you if I remember.
Yeah, and I guess this is as good a time as any. This is a Google Maps that I've been creating here for solar EV co-op in Colorado. And this was the one of the things, and this is me zooming in here. So like Boondocks is on the map. I think right here. So the blue line here is this is I-25, which is one of the Department of Transportation corridors. One of the other ones that was of pretty high interest was the Victory Church. They've got a really large parking lot, and we're just trying to figure out some of the low-hanging fruit where there's potentially less democracy or bureaucracy involved in somebody making a decision. And let me just do a search here for Victory Church. So let me do a parking lot layer here. Where's the layer button? I don't know if I get that layer here with this. So that was another one, because right here is the this is 287 before it drops down to Federal, more on the north side here. So this is of strategic interest because they have a pretty large parking lot here, and this is one of the mega churches in North Denver. And most of these conversations, we have no expectations that we'll get a site here before our submission next week. So that's one of the things that we're really looking to get solid feedback from the judge, and hopefully we'll even win the prizes here. But the way that we're structuring our timeline is more working towards the February of 2024. I think it's February the 2nd, but I'll get this 90-second video done. Getting back to the agenda over here, as far as the submission checklist. The other thing too, Tyler has been working on the PowerPoint slide. I can't remember if the technical assistance request is a requirement, but I'll try to have some better understanding. I remember us working on that before, but other than that, we don't have like the connector recognition. That's optional. The cover page is basically just a summary. So this is something that we have some experience. We went through and did our submission for 2 Solar Prize round 5, and I can't remember what the other was, and maybe it was just for that we did 2 tracks for Solar Prize round 5, the hardware track and the software track, if I remember correctly. But did you want to chime in any perspectives on this, Amy, from what you remember, what we created from a submission standpoint before? Oh, she dropped off. So go ahead, Tyler.
Oh, I was going to say, I think she had to go.
Yeah, and it's getting late here. And just going back to the upcoming calendar, I already showed that on screen. So we've got the office hours on Monday, and then the final working group. So we'll be doing a lot of this stuff asynchronously between now and our next working group. But we're really hoping to have where we're just putting a bow tie on this on our working group on Wednesday and making sure that we've got everything PDF'd and ready to submit for these 2 tracks or these 2 prizes that we're submitting for.
Sweet.
So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take the turn the live stream off. I love doing this format, and this is one of the things that we'll get better at as far as really creating content surrounding this. Right now, it's just like a fire hose where the content's getting broadcast out there. I don't even think that this is going on the brand new Solar EV Co-op YouTube channel yet. So that's an action item that I've got, is to enable the live streaming on that channel, but it's going to several other YouTube channels within our ecosystem. But I see Amy's back. I'm going to go ahead and give her one last chance here. We were just winding up the conversation here, Amy. We were talking about our going through the submission checklist. Was there anything that you wanted to add from your memory as far as what we didn't talk about already here on the submission for our team?
You know, what we did before was very different from how you and Tyler are doing it right now. We actually did the we answered the form on our working group, and I was waiting for that. And when you all try to do it by yourselves, yeah, we don't know what's going on. So
Well, we
the way
were
you're asking me how we used to do it. So I was expecting that that's the same thing that's going to happen right now. So
one of the things that we found, though, at least from our experience, is that we didn't really get much substantiation written. Like we had multiple working groups surrounding writing a white paper, but yet most of the narrative didn't get done during the working group. And that's one of the things that we were trying to create here with the Google Docs is because that's one of the things that, like, from a timing standpoint, that like right now Tyler's preoccupied with Brooke, and then like not everybody is able to participate, and then but we can participate to create a well-written like document asynchronously, and then like that's where we were looking to transpose most of the verbiage. And like when you're talking about the problem solution team, like we haven't finalized the team and the plan, so that's like one of the biggest opportunities that probably still needs in, because that's one of the things that, because we're doing a great job creating conversation around the problem and the solution. So that's one of the things that we're wanting to go ahead,
I have
Amy.
a question. Is the Google Doc link in Notion?
It's been in Notion, and you should have an email too. I mean, and that's something that
I don't think I received an email, not unless, because sometimes the meetings that we have, is it under your name? Because I couldn't find one. The meeting that you had yesterday, I couldn't find the link to the meeting, and I don't know.
It just depends. Like if you're talking about one of the breakout conversations that we had this week, it just depends on whether that was something that was like a forwarded invite, because like sometimes that's something that somebody books a time on my calendar, or I book a time on their calendar, or it's a mix of different dynamics. And that's one of the things that try to do as best as possible to ensure that everybody is included on those side conversations that want to be.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I mean, whenever I don't respond to a meeting, just send me the link, because I always make time. My schedule is flexible. I do work, but I could still listen, or I could chime in every now and then if I needed to ask a question. So just send the link. I could check my text better than I could my email, is what I'm saying.
Well, and one of the things that we're trying to do is like whatever email that the primary email that you use, like for me, it's jason.yonker@gmail. I mean, that email's out all over the internet. So that's one of the things, and that's where my calendar is linked to. Like if somebody books time on my calendar, like here on this cal.com link, that's one of the things that whatever that email is, because as far as I know, we got that added, but we can and
so you're saying when somebody schedule like if you forward the email to me, does it automatically adds on my calendar, or I have to say yes before it adds to my calendar?
I
'Cause
I don't know
have,
how you have your permissions on your calendar set up.
because I have
So
a lot of junk mail. So if you email me something and I didn't get to check it, it gets buried in those junk mail. That's all.
well, and I don't know what the solution is. I have a substantial amount too of junk mail or things that I opt into, but like the stuff on my calendar, I still use that email address for my calendar, and the stuff is showing up. So I don't know, and it sometimes might be for me, but it depending on how it's booked, because like most of the time, like if it's a Calendly, like for the Colorado Energy Office that we had a great conversation with Zara, that was one that got added via Calendly, where I added your email address in when I booked that appointment. So it just varies, and this is one of the things that like I want to get a solution in place that is very clear, and that's one of my aspirations through our website, is to really create our central hub of information surrounding our website, and then like people can just add that, like the solar EV co-op calendar, to their website, and that's something that will be an ongoing work in progress as far as building some of this foundation here. And that's one of the reasons too, most of these things like this, for example, is being recorded, where people like some of these conversations don't make sense to record because they're just one-on-one, and then just like the privacy aspects and like patent related conversations, those are one that we really want to limit the amplification of those conversations. But we'll work on getting better at that. Like one of the things that Tyler and I were having a conversation that wanted to circle back on is creating a more consistent working group dynamic in October and November. And we'll create, like we've got the two Let Us Meets here to finalize our submissions for our upcoming. We'll create another Let Us Meet. I'm really thinking that based upon what I've seen from people's availability, the 2 to 4 p.m. window on Sunday afternoon is looking pretty solid for us. And I think it was for Nick, if I remember his availability. But like I said, looking at October and looking at the likelihood here of, I think that we could probably commit to doing a working group on October the 8th, so that we can just kind of sync up and then get positioned to really kick off Q4 of 2023. Because the other big opportunity that we've got coming up is the webinar for this, and I'm going to actually bring that up because I didn't have that as a specific opportunity. And let me see where I had that. It's on the project page for Hero X. So let me just go there here real quick to our team page. And this is for Solar Prize round 7. So the one that I'm talking about is the Community Energy Innovation Prize. So the Community Energy Innovation Prize is the one that is got the timeline of the project submission of October or February the 2nd. This is the webinar that I'm talking about here. So here's the upcoming webinars. Let me throw this on. So this is something, Amy and everybody else that's on the Zoom, I would highly encourage you to participate, because the way that I'm kind of looking at this is that this is where you need to submit our projects surrounding, because like when you talk about what we're doing is functionally this right here. And the more that we can just lean into this, and I think that this is the first time that they've had this specific prize, and this is a bigger prize bucket than the one. There's also probably more competition in this. And this is one of the things, I'm going to digress a little bit here, is it looks like 306 teams So we have our team. Let me go to this. My team. I'll throw a link on here too. This is the Hero X Community Energy and Innovation Prize Solar EV team. So there's our link for our team, and this is the one. And that's another thing too. Make sure that everybody does invite or join requests. So I see yours here, Amy. I'll send you something that I noticed offline, Amy, about that. But like I said, I'll take that offline. So going back here, the opportunity for the upcoming webinars, you can see the team link, and I think I linked that in the, yeah. So the upcoming webinars, that's at 1 p.m. Mountain on the 12th. I'll go ahead and throw that on the calendar here too. October 12th, webinar, add location. So there's the link for the team. So, and I'll get this updated where it's got more information. But any final thoughts? This is the last. We wanted to capture anything here. I already put the next actions. The main thing that we've got. We talked a little bit about the change.org petition. We can have more conversations because that's not something. I think the opportunity is to just like create a plan. And this is like one of the things that you were talking about, Amy. So we'll talk a lot more about finalizing our narrative, but that's kind of the way that Tyler and I have been operating, is that we're focused on creating the white paper. We know that that's a deliverable that we need to have for our project anyway, that is probably from a marketing standpoint, in our opinion, even more important than what the narrative is for this project. So we're really looking to mostly copy and paste from our white paper and create and refine the narrative surrounding the details in our white paper. But I'll make sure that you have the link so that we can get that, and I'll get you added, Nick, for that. But anyway, what other things that we've got? I don't think we've got any carryover that we couldn't complete here, but besides, any final thoughts as far as decisions and next actions between now and our office hours? And again, make sure that you get your availability added to those two lettuce meets for the office hours and the working group.
How many more meetings before submission?
That's it. Office hours on Monday and our working group on Wednesday.
Okay, just 2 more. What is going on Sunday then?
Nothing. I was talking Sunday for future, like in October.
Oh, okay. Because
So
I thought we had a meeting Sunday.
Yeah. So thank you for clarifying that, and I'll get that created. This is a placeholder, because unless somebody says otherwise, I'm really liking getting some consistency where we can just put like 2 to 4 as a reoccurring on Sunday. And then if we need to deviate for whatever reasons, then we can look at deviating. But this would be a working group number 9, I think. Yeah, so and that would be, I think, from a timing standpoint, we'll be coming back, and this is a flight here, so we'll have plenty of time to prepare. And like, this is one of the things that, again, wanting to get more collaborative with how that we're doing the agenda, because like, definitely don't want this to be the Jason or Yonks or Tyler show here that we're wanting. And one of the things that we did, as you remember, Amy, is that we would actually encourage other people to step up. If you want to host, like, we're absolutely like, we can help get all of the auto magic stuff or all of the live streaming stuff happen behind the scenes. That's something that we've got a good amount of experience with doing anyway. So if you want to lead one of these working groups or an office hours or something like that, have some side conversations with myself or Tyler. But we really want this to be, like I said, a model that can Like I've said, we know how much opportunity there is in California, but Tyler and I don't have in the foreseeable future want to spend much time in California. We're more interested in like Arizona, Florida, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee. Don't want to leave Tennessee off the roadmap. Tennessee has close proximity to Ohio. And anyway, any want to chime in some final thoughts? It's getting late here, and it's ready for me to call it a good night for this on my end.
No, it feels like we're getting close to this thing. So, Jason, can you send out the link to the white paper on email? Just if you guys can make comments and whatever you want, I'd like to get that nailed down. And I was hoping to get the one pager done today. I didn't, but need to get that done and see if Double D can get it designed for us.
Oh yeah, that reminds me too. I'm going to bring open his. That was one of the things. I'll do that here. I'm wanting to wrap this up, but he had a logo here, and this is kind of the way that I view a lot of this stuff is that the logo stuff doesn't have to be set in stone. Getting some type of visual imagery is better than having no visual imagery, which is what we have right now. So having some visual imagery is better than no visual imagery. And then when we get more traction with what we're doing and we have more people, the opportunity to like potentially do a more formal logo design contest. That's something that I've loved doing in previous communities that I've been involved with and leading in the past. But anyway, did you have any final thoughts here from your end, Amy? I heard Nick and Tyler chime in. No, and I just want to thank Tyler for all that she's done on the white paper. And if you could, Tyler, make sure that you contribute like a share link or a contribution link to whatever you're doing the one pager in, so that we can take a look at that. I know that you did an excellent job on the one pager that we submitted for Solar Prize Round 5.
Yeah, thank you. I'll share this.
Final thoughts, Amy?
Yeah, I'll have a good night.
You as well, and looking forward to I love the time that we share here, but looking forward to getting our initial projects submitted. And the thing that's so fabulous, again, just about the timeline with this community energy innovation, is that we'll be able to get feedback from these 2 submissions that we can use to further improve the model and the narrative to really lean into delivering a home run for not only our narrative, but more importantly, like the way that we're viewing this is that we're creating a business that we're planning on to bring forward through a regulation crowdfunding security token offering. And that's one of the things. I don't know if those conversations will materialize here early this next week, but I am going to kick those off, so that if they don't materialize here early this next week, maybe they can materialize between, we're talking working group 9, October 8th. So maybe between working group 9 and 10, we'll have some solid conversations with a potential security token platform provider. And anybody that wants to add to that list as far as some potential things to look at, bring those forward. This is just based upon the last several years that this has been an ongoing thought as far as a go-to-market strategy for the tokenization of real-world assets.
There is a ex-SEC attorney in Clubhouse that I might tap into if you need some more people.
Yeah, and our expectation is that should be largely bundled in with the platform. Besides who else that we bring, we've already had the conversation with Jeff Pote from the Pote law firm, and Yev Muchnik with her Launch Legal law firm, and the expertise that she brings from a Web3 blockchain and cooperative experience. So I'm absolutely open, you know, because that's where there's multiple things that are in consideration here, because we're wanting to focus on a model on a state-by-state basis. So having some attorneys, and this is where that we're really wanting, that really putting some thoughts about creating a replicable model that can be deployed in state California or Florida or Texas or whatever state. And this is more that wanting to, yeah, anyway, you all have a good night and a safe weekend. We'll catch up, Amy, on book club. And I'll link you up, Nick, for future reference. We're winding up an absolutely fabulous book right now, but I don't know if you're interested, but we can have that conversation offline. But that's another way that we like to connect, learn, and go through the personal development journey together collaboratively.
Awesome. That sounds good. Have a good evening, guys.
Good evening, everybody. Great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Bye.